Okay, Graham, Harjinder and Juno. Giles here from A0. I'm going to walk you through the updated model we've been working on the last week, which reflects the revised plans we sent through with the stair configuration, but also reflects a number of other comments, Graham, you came back with about trying to get back to, I suppose, some of the earlier ideas we had, particularly externally. So I'm going to walk you through the project, tell you about things on the way. I have 25 scenes set up here, and I've kept it all very mute and neutral in terms of black and white, just so that you're clear, I suppose, on the shape of things, and materiality is something that would obviously follow. Okay, first view is that from the hall. As we've discussed, we've widened the width of the hall to make it more impressive. And what you're looking at is the bottom three treads of the main step and the glass behind. And you'll see that that glass, as we go through, is something that obeys the rhythm of the stairs. Moving across this view just slightly closer, with the kitchen behind. And as I move all the way through there, you now see what we've been able to achieve, which I think is really positive, in removing that central column to allow this corner of glazing really to be something that makes the outdoor courtyard very much more part of the main living space, and then the kitchen off to the side. And I think that's even more, if I have my numbers correctly, more the case when we do this. Sorry, so that's the view from the kitchen looking back. Again, the detail of the stairs creeping up with the glass behind it, so that there is again acoustic separation between the kitchen activities and the living room above. And I think this is the one. Yep, okay, so that's the one. When the doors are then fully open, then you get this really strong inside-outside connection. So I think that's kind of a really good move, we think, which is to remove that central column, therefore allowing that cornerless condition to exist. And so when time allows, you really will have a very amazing grand little living room, whereby it feels like it incorporates the external living room fully. Onto scene number 6. Scene number 6, same again, but just to say that those cupboards there under the stairs, we've made them all openable, and we've just looked at ways to kind of quite simply mount the glass behind the timber. But if I go back a scene, when the doors close, that all kind of feels integrated. And again, in terms of materiality, I think we discussed that paneling might be something that kind of alludes to a more traditional type of paneling, but is contemporary in that it follows these precise lines of the steps, etc. So I think that can work quite well. And again, the company we're talking to, Cake, to do a lot of this work, can take ownership of a lot of that. Okay, I showed you scene 6. Let's go to scene 7. So scene 7, just looking from the kitchen. We've just been playing, I suppose, with this wall to see whether it mightn't be worth treating it in some way, maybe introducing a bit of transparency through it. And I think that could be something interesting to consider as a new wall. It certainly would improve the kind of interest of that wall. And it might be recesses into which you can put little pots of plants or something like that. Finally, on this level, this is again the same view of looking from the door back to the courtyard. You can now see the stairs, which is the folded steel stairs we've been looking at, and again with those two doors open, what that would mean in terms of that whole room. Now, bit of acrobatics here, and we arrive to here, which is looking above the courtyard back to that cornerless glass corner, and then the steel handrail, which we now have running up the stairs, folding back to there, and that all comes, that steel staircase, full steel staircase, and then that detail here is something, again, we've looked at to try and really minimize the bulk and trying to make this quite an elegant, thin structure at every aspect. Scene 11, just looking again at that elevated courtyard with the balustrade, and also just we've modelled the adjacent buildings so you can see how one ties with the other. Looking back down at the courtyard, again as we had it before, the 4 sliding doors, the terrace with the bench overlooking the roof light back into the kitchen, and then again just how that relates to adjacent neighbours. 13, the same thing again, this time with the doors slid open. So again, the idea that those doors slide behind this railing, so it really integrates well. And then you see those stairs, the new ones we've positioned there in a minute. And there are those stairs, which again, as we discussed when we met, we've really tried to make these 3 stairs. There's the ones here, which are the top of the ones up from the kitchen, the ones here, which are the balustrade external ones, and then these ones that go up to the loft. Really tried to make them kind of cousins of each other in terms of materiality and detail, but they're all slightly different. Here's the one that goes up to the top, and it is different from the one that comes up from the kitchen in that the one from the kitchen conceals glazing units. This one doesn't, and because it doesn't, when you open the doors like that, those doors can have a slightly different aesthetic. So in a way, that's a bit of kind of, I think, fun that we can have with this, just to keep it quite tidy outside, but also keep that language of lining up stairs and balustrades quite accurately. I think the other really good thing which this has achieved is that in pulling the stairs from its original location here to the side, is now this room feels bigger by the depth of the stairs. So this wall here is now available for hanging things, but it really now feels part of the space. Again, back outside to that, looking up the stairs, and I'll now do a mad leap, I think, up the stairs. Yeah, so this is a view you would never see, but I think just it's important just so you understand how those stairs have balustrades to one side, and again we've kind of inverted that detail that you see in the terrace, whereby those spindles, those vertical spindles, return into a kind of steel shoe, essentially at the top. So again, these are all kind of sisters of each other, and we think that's a really nice way to just kind of bring consistency across all 3 levels. Graham, there are the doors, openable doors to your studio or your study, and again they can be closed for acoustic reasons. Your full separation from below, or opened and the roof light sits directly above that. You'll see that in 1 second. So there, Graham, is your view looking out from your window, and just to place yourself there, the openable windows with the roof light above, so that's light flooding down there. We've returned to this corner glazing at your crest, and I think that actually, I think this starts to really feel quite good. And again, this is with the neighbour. You'll see in a minute how your window relates to his. And externally, that is now one single dormer, no window on the light slot. So you get a very good view, you get your triangular window, and when that's opened, again with sliding doors pushing to the side, then in principle you get as good as I think you can get from that, which I think is an improvement. Looking externally, so what that dormer means now is that we have kind of reversed to what we had before as this glazing to one edge, which then when pulled back reveals that corner. And also gives that, I think, that lightness to the corner, which again it didn't have. And then removing this element, I think, just simplifies it massively. So all in all, that is the rear of the building now, which again picks up alignment between the dormer and the lower windows, picks up a kind of a language continuity between the 3 stairs, the external ones and the 2 internal ones, both in terms of form and materiality. And when all open, I think gives quite a good view sight line down to the river. pretty much as good as your neighbour has. Actually better, because his is a balcony, whereas yours is accommodation. Now, how different is this from the planning? Not hugely, actually. In the end of it, the planner gets his centralised dormer. And I think, in essence, the opening on this level is no different than it was. So I think we can definitely play this or sell this to the planners in a way that understates its that it moves too far in the contemporary direction from them. I think it's just very simple. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And I say, give me a call in the studio if you want to have a chat about any aspect of this.